Chapter 8:19. The sensitive girls could tell that Yao Jing was imitating Yi Qian. They all pursed their lips and giggled. She was making a fool of herself. Yang Heng, who also missed his target with a dart in his hand, glanced coldly at the embarrassed Yao Jing. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Provoking Yi Jian? I really don't know what kind of brain she has. When it was Wang Jin's turn to throw the darts again, his team was one round faster than Yao Jing's team, and the applause was all for them. As for Yao Jing's apology, it was like throwing a small stone into the sea. It didn't even cause a splash. Do you still want to play? Yang Heng stopped playing and walked to Yao Jing, who was smiling fakely. If you want to find fault, you have to see if you have the ability to do so. If you continue playing, don't blame me for not reminding you. You'll be the one making a fool of yourself. Yao Jing knew that she would be the one making a fool of herself if she continued playing, but she couldn't just quit like that. How embarrassing. She pouted and said unhappily, I don't want to play anymore. It's not as fun as I imagined. Come down with me. This kind of competition wasn't something she could handle. It was better for her to quit early and not embarrass herself even more. A cold light flashed in Yang Heng's eyes as he walked down the stage with a smile on his handsome face. A few men who were close to him reached out their hands and clapped happily. A boy said, with you as a comparison, we'll enjoy watching. Wang Jin and the others do have some skills. Yi Qian is even better. She has never thrown before and hasn't missed in 4 rounds. She's good at playing and learning. Most importantly, she's so beautiful and has such a good personality. I had some evil intentions at first, but I don't dare anymore. I'm afraid I'll blaspheme her. Yao Jing, who originally wanted to continue following Yang Heng, heard this. Her eyes flashed with a gloomy coldness, followed by a gloating malice. She needed to call Luo Ran and see where he was now. Blaspheme? She really wanted to see Yi Qian, a commoner girl, being blasphemed. She quietly walked out of the banquet hall and saw a few taxis stop at the entrance of the hotel. The first one to get out was Luo Ran. He got out in a huff and even the door was on fire. Luo Ran. She motioned for Luo Ran to speak with her outside the hotel so that no one could see them. Without Yao Jing and Yang Heng, it became a 3-on-3 competition. The whole process was very exciting. Wang Jin and the other 2 boys had to draw a line every time they threw the darts, but Yi Qian only needed to stand at a distance of 2.37 meters, and his throwing speed was only slightly slower than Wang Jin and the other boys. Mother Yang listened to her son's classmates excitedly discussing. She had always thought that Yi Qian had also learned how to play darts. Only now did she realize that Yi Qian had only learned it for a while. She said in surprise, Aya, this child is really good at both civil and martial arts. Maybe it's because I grew up in the army, so I'm familiar with these boys' games. Compared to the smile on Mother Yang's face, the smile on Mother Yao's face was much lighter. When her daughter came down from the stage, the smile on her face disappeared. Originally, her daughter was the most outstanding one. Who would have thought that she would be suppressed by Yi Qian again and successfully attract the attention of the Yang family? Her methods were so high that it made her, an adult, tremble. She said, it's not good for a girl to be too outstanding. For families like yours and mine, the most important thing is character. Chapter 8:20. Mother Yang glanced at her former neighbor and frowned slightly. Was she telling her that Yi Qian's character wasn't good? Over the years, she didn't like Jing's overbearing personality, so she didn't interact much with the Yao family. She didn't expect the old neighbor to have changed so much. She even liked to gossip behind her back. Her own child was excellent, but other children were also excellent. How could she say that other children's character wasn't good? She didn't have the grace and tolerance that an adult should have. I think they're all good. Those who can go to the experimental class and represent the country can't be too bad. Mother Yang said faintly and clapped with a smile. The 10 minutes of competition on the stage had already ended. Mother Yao's expression stiffened. Her old neighbor meant that those who could go to the experimental class and represent the country were good children, but those who didn't go to the experimental class and didn't go abroad to compete weren't good children? Why did it sound like she was talking about Jing Jing? Mother Yao, who felt uncomfortable in her heart, wanted to say a few more words. However, when she saw Mother Yang's elegant expression, smiling and applauding for the wonderful performance on the stage, she frowned and thought to herself, Huiying seems to treat Yi Jian differently. Mother Yao adjusted her expression and clapped with a smile. She didn't want to affect the relationship between the old neighbors. No matter what, her family had a good relationship with the Yang family. As long as Jing Jing and Yang Heng continued their relationship, it wouldn't be difficult for the two families to become in-laws. How could the picky Mother Yang take a fancy to a girl who had suddenly appeared out of nowhere? For Yi Qian, she didn't care about other people's opinions when she was reborn. Especially for an adult like Mother Yao who was picky about other people's children, she wouldn't care. Yi Qian's team will definitely win. She only missed twice. Forget it. I think the two teams are about the same. But Li Qian's team is 2 rounds slower than Yi Qian's team. It's a bit difficult to win. While the students were discussing, Yi Qian's team did indeed win after calculating the center circle of the two teams. Based on the individual probability of hitting the center circle, Yi Jian only hit 2 fewer center circles than Wang Jin, which was the same as the other 4 boys. After careful calculation, the boys still lost. I can't believe this is your first time playing. How can the 5 of us believe such a high hit rate? Wang Jin and the other 4 looked at Yi Qian's individual score and were all in disbelief. Only 2 points less than Wang Jin. They had been practicing for a long time, but they were defeated by Yi Qian so easily. They couldn't accept it, and at the same time, their fighting spirit was ignited. Why don't we play with 2 darts and 3 darts again? Wang Jin's interest was piqued. He was reluctant to let go of his opponent. Yi Qian didn't want to play anymore. He smiled and said, I've never played darts before, but I like to play with a slingshot. It's the same hit rate. I just need to find the feeling. I can still throw a center circle. I'm afraid I won't be able to do it if I play a bigger one. How could Yi Qian, who was more thoughtful than the boys, agree? After all, it was Yang Heng's birthday party. It was Yang Heng's main venue. They played darts for the students to have fun, not for the guests to play. Chapter 8:21. Moreover, it was enough to play 1 round of this kind of competition. There was really no point in continuing to play. She said, Don't use your ultimate moves. I was sweating just now. If we continue, I can't. My legs are a little weak. Yi Jian never thought that showing weakness was a sign of cowardice. She was confident, and there was no sign of cowardice between her eyebrows. If they continued to play, it was hard to tell who would win and who would lose. 2 darts at once, 3 darts at once. She didn't know if it was 2 consecutive darts, but the targets were similar. When she was training in the desert, Uncle Jen would throw 2 objects at the same time, and they would fly over together with the sand. She had to hit both objects at once to pass the test. If it was similar, she was confident that she could beat the boys. However, there was no need to continue. Enough was enough. At this point, the girls were waiting for the boys to start doing sit-ups. Wang Jin and the other 4 reacted quickly and said, If you're willing to bet, you're willing to lose. 50 sit-ups. Come, let's do it together. They finished the 50 sit-ups happily and ended the competition perfectly. Yang Heng, who was standing next to Director Yang, smiled and said, Dad, what do you think? I told you she's good at this. It's her first time and she's already so good. I'm so happy to have a friend like her. Oh, just a friend? No other thoughts? Director Yang smiled and teased his son, I think this girl is very charming. Are you sure you just want to be a friend? Yang Heng also smiled as he looked at his father who was teasing him. He said frankly, It's because she's very charming and I know very well what I'm capable of. That's why we're only suitable to be friends and only friends. He wasn't belittling himself, but sometimes you have to know your limits. If you know you can't do something, then don't force it. Moreover, what's wrong with being friends? Being friends means you don't have to worry about your friend being taken away by others. Director Yang smiled in relief at his son's thoughtfulness. Yi Qian was indeed a good girl. Because she was too good, he knew his son couldn't control such a girl. Now that he didn't need to remind them, the problem didn't exist. How could Director Yang not be gratified? Yang Heng laughed and said, "Also, I dare say that if we continue to play, she may not lose. Now that you've said you don't want to play anymore, you're able to pick up and let go. You're even bolder than the boys." He is indeed very courageous. Children these days are able to leave some face for others without batting an eyelid. It's rare. Bureau Chief Yang had been in politics for a long time, so he naturally had a good eye for people. Nodding his head with a smile, he praised, "She did not waste her talent. She grew up to be so outstanding even without parents. It's very meaningful to have such a friend. Dad supports you." Everyone in politics knew the importance of connections. Yi Qian was still a student, but with her talent, she would definitely achieve great things in the future. Being friends with such a person would not only spur his son on, but also help his son in the future. After pondering for a while, Bureau Chief Yang reminded him in a low voice, "Yang Heng, you have to treat people with sincerity. Don't pretend to be nice to her. We'll be friends for life. Since we've decided on them, we have to treat them well." Although it was said that there are no lifelong friends, only lifelong interests, as long as you met the right friend, it was worth it to make friends. Chapter 8:22. Even if they did not work together in the future, they were once friends who treated each other wholeheartedly. I know. That's why I thought of her as a friend from the start. Also, please help me keep an eye on Uncle Yao. Yao Jing is prejudiced against her. The last sentence was what Yang Heng wanted to say. Bureau Chief Yang frowned and nodded lightly. Although he did not say anything, his nod was enough to show that he knew what was going on. Seeing that his father had nodded, Yang Heng heaved a sigh of relief. The heavy burden in his heart had finally been lifted. He pursed his lips and said in a low voice, "I've always wanted to tell you, but I was afraid that you wouldn't like it and Yi Jian wouldn't agree. Yao Jing may look lively, but she has too many tricks up her sleeves. Just now, her tricks were so frequent that I was annoyed just by looking at them." Uncle Yao and Auntie Yao did not stop her. They even indulged her and thought that it was just a small matter. In the long run, Yao Jing's character will bring trouble to Uncle Yao's family sooner or later. The father and son spoke softly. Yao Jing, who had contacted Luo Ran, came back and complained to her parents. Her delicate face was gloomy. She knew that this was Yang Heng's birthday party, but she stole the limelight. How can there be such an annoying person like her? "Mom, talk to Auntie Yao later. Don't let her be deceived by her appearance." "That's enough. You were in the wrong just now, and you still have the nerve to criticize others. Keep your head up and your chest out. Don't shrink your neck." Father Yao criticized in a low voice. "Yi Qian is very outstanding. You have to admit that. You have to understand that you are not as good as others. Look at her. She fought against 5 people alone, and she didn't panic at all. She even forced the 5 boys to sweat. If you don't want your limelight to be stolen, you have to have the ability to steal the limelight from others. If it were you, with your character, you would definitely follow up the victory and make yourself look good. But look at her. She knows when to stop. Not only did she take care of the boys' faces, but she also won their respect. Moreover, this is Yang Heng's birthday party. He is the main character. Mother Yao was not Sun Dongqing. She had to teach her child when she made a mistake and did not know how to behave properly. She also criticized with a sullen face. "You didn't even know how to read people's faces. What I taught you, where did it all go? Also, your dad and I have warned you not to go against Yi Jian. And you? You think you're the host today just because your Uncle Yang and Auntie Yang smiled at you? You're stealing the limelight. Even I'm embarrassed. Apologize to your Uncle Yang and Auntie later. Children can be immature, but they must know how to admit their mistakes." Calm as. The couple was not in the mood to watch anymore. They discussed in secret. At 9:30 p.m., a huge birthday cake was pushed up. The applause of the whole class did not stop. The candles were lit, and the entire banquet hall was brightly lit. Only a few small lights were left on. In the faint candlelight, a happy birthday song was played. Chapter 8:23. Yi Qian looked at the clock on the wall. It was almost time to leave. Today was the day she decided to meet Luo Ran. Now she was going to meet him at the back alley of the bar. In the cheerful birthday song, Yi Jian accurately walked to Wang Jin's side and said softly, "I have something to do. I'll be back later." "Okay, I'll leave you a big piece of cake to smear on Yang Heng's face." Wang Jin didn't know that Yi Qian was going to fight. He thought she would be back later. He didn't ask for more details. He was thinking about how to sneak up on Yang Heng. He didn't even notice when Yi Qian left. When Yi Qian left, she took 10 darts with her because she realized they were pretty good as weapons. When the lights came on and the cake was cut, no one ate it. Everyone was playing with the cake. Yang Heng was the worst. His clean and handsome face even had eyelashes. Yi Qian left? Did she say where she was going? Why didn't you wait for me to come back? When Yang Heng heard Wang Jin's message, he frowned so hard that a piece of cream almost fell off. After asking, he realized that he had misspoken, so he patted Wang Jin's shoulder. "I'm sorry, I was a little impatient." Wang Jin quickly said, it's okay. I know. A girl said she was going to leave for a while. I didn't ask. She said she would be back later." He didn't know how late she would be back. How long would she be gone for? Yi Qian didn't say, so no one knew when she would be back. Yang Heng tried to recall Yi Qian's expression tonight. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't find anything wrong with Yi Qian. He was playing darts happily and laughing happily. He didn't even take Yao Jing's provocation seriously. Every time, he would hit back with 4 ounces of jacks, causing Yao Jing to be in a disadvantageous position. If she didn't leave because she was unhappy, then it was very likely she left for personal reasons. She left? Does no one know why she left? When Mama Yang heard about it, she frowned slightly and said to her husband, "Old Yang, do you think that child saw that Jing was deliberately looking for trouble and left because she felt uncomfortable?" As he spoke, he paused and sighed. "I also said something I shouldn't have said. I don't know if that child is feeling uncomfortable in his heart." She repeated what she had said unintentionally. Yang Heng immediately said, "Mom, don't worry about this. She won't take it to heart. If he still hasn't returned by the time the event ends, I'll go look for him." He shouldn't have gone too far. Perhaps he really did have some urgent matters to attend to. I think that child knows his limits. You two don't have to worry. If he doesn't come back in half an hour, I'll send someone to check. Chief Yang trusted Yi Qian quite a lot. She was a young girl who could help the police solve big cases. She was a very meticulous child. Under normal circumstances, she would not put herself in danger. He believed that she really did leave because of an urgent matter and not because she was unhappy. The city before 10 o'clock was not as lively as it would be 10 years later. At this time, there were fewer cars and people. When you walked to the side of the road, the speed of the passing cars was twice as fast as it was during the day. Yi Qian walked out of the hotel at a leisurely pace. There were a few people following behind her. Chapter 8:24. It was late at night, and a single girl was followed by a few unidentified men. Anyone who saw this would feel that something was wrong. When Yi Qian came out of the banquet hall, she saw a few men sitting on the sofa in the hotel lobby. One of them had a head of yellow hair. He was one of the men she ran into when she came back late from training last time. Brother Huang. That was what she heard someone call him. Seeing her come out, the men led by Brother Huang straightened their backs and looked at her. It was obvious that they were waiting for her. She didn't care about these people. The key person was Luo Ran, so she had to wait for him to come out. She walked out of the hotel unhurriedly and walked along the road until she reached the intersection. She waited for the traffic light to turn green. Several men who were following her stood not far away. They kept swinging something in their hands. It was a small knife that could be swung nimbly. A black car gradually came to a stop as the traffic light turned green. Yi Qian crossed the road as the traffic light turned green and arrived at the Caesar Hotel on the opposite side of the road. "Third master, look," the driver said softly. "It's the girl who left with Miss Xia last time. She's going to the wasteland where we're going to build the club." There are 2 groups of people following her. Ho Zi, who had just finished a business meeting and was a little drunk, narrowed his eyes and looked at the few people following her. He said calmly, "These people aren't enough to be her appetizers. Send a few of them to keep an eye on her. If there's anything, help her clean up the scene. Don't leave any traces." Not only was the little girl good at fighting, but she was also good with guns. It was a pity that he had never seen her before. It was all from their school. Even Commander-in-Chief Xia didn't stop her. As long as nothing happened in the future, it wouldn't be a problem for her to become Family Xia's daughter-in-law. Since that was the case, he would naturally take care of her as much as he could. Besides, he wanted the little girl to call him Brother Z. She even called him Brother Z. How could he just stand by and watch? The car drove directly to the entrance of the hotel. The doorman recognized that it was his boss' car. He immediately opened the door and waited for his boss to come out. The lobby manager quickly walked from the lobby to the revolving door and waited for Ho Zi to come in before saying softly, "Third Master, we have an important guest on the 23rd floor." He softly said a name, but before he could finish his sentence, a tall figure appeared outside the revolving door. "I don't know when he left. He's behind you now." After the lobby manager finished speaking, he folded his hands in front of his lower abdomen and retreated to the side. Ho Zi turned around and suppressed the smell of alcohol in his stomach. Looking at the man who came in, Dan Feng's eyes were full of smiles. The smile on his handsome face came from the bottom of his heart. Even though there was a hint of vicissitudes in the corners of his eyes, it didn't affect his handsomeness at all. No wonder Wei said that Nan province has become your second home. You come back here every few days and spend your pitiful holidays on dating. Be careful that the old lady at home will be angry. He joked. Gradually, there was a hint of sadness in his eyes. He raised his hand and directly hooked the shoulder of the man who was admiring his drunkenness with interest. Even his happy smile had a hint of sadness. Your sister has something to do. Help me persuade her. Today, she suddenly said that she wants to break up with me. I'm King dumbfounded. Break up? CK. She's the only woman I've had for 17 years. Why should she break up with me? Chapter 825. I support my sister's decision to break up with you. My sister's first love is back. He's also single and a world-class architect. He's not any worse than you, Brother Z. Xia Jinyuan smiled faintly. He went to the school to look for Yi Qian but couldn't contact Yi Qian. He wasn't in the mood to comfort a broken-hearted, old man. He was called an old man by Little Fox when he was 20 years old. Ho Zi was almost 40 years old, so he should be an old man. He was almost 40 years old but still got dumped. How pitiful. Even if he was pitiful, it had nothing to do with him. Of course, he would stand on the side of his family. Xia Jinyuan removed Ho Zi's arm and said to the people around him, Brother Z is drunk. You guys help him upstairs to rest. He didn't have time to care about other things. Even Uncle Chen didn't know where Yi Qian went. He called Lu Tuan and also said that Yi Qian hadn't been there for 2 weeks. Tonight, where did Yi Qian go? Ho Zi was a little drunk, but he wasn't drunk to the point where he needed help. He looked at Xia Jinyuan's young and tall figure and sighed deeply because of the breakup. He smiled faintly and said, 23 years old. Wei is 23 years old and has been with me for 4 years. Just as he finished speaking, Ho Zi's single phoenix eyes suddenly tightened. What did old Six say just now? Did he say? Wei's first love was back. Damn it. No wonder he couldn't find anything after half a month of investigation. It turned out that he was back. Ho Zi suddenly felt a sense of crisis and restrained his expression. There was a faint but obvious trace of hostility on his face. He couldn't win against him in the past, and it was the same now. He wanted to steal his woman? No way. Old Six had done him such a big favor as soon as he came back. Naturally, he had to return the favor. Yi Qian didn't know that he was seen by Ho Zi. She heard the footsteps behind her and with a faint smile in her eyes, she led these people to the wasteland behind Caesar Hotel. The development of the southern province's provincial capital was not as impressive as it would be 10 years later. If he wanted to find a quiet place to teach someone a lesson, he only needed to avoid the city's roads and a few heaven's eyes. Behind the Caesar Hotel was a piece of barren land. Weeds grew all over the ground, making it look like a natural lawn. It was late at night, and there wasn't even a street light. Yiqian stood quietly by the side, waiting for them to come over. She walked quickly and calmly. Coupled with the darkness around her, the few hooligans who were following her felt their hair stand on end. Luo Ran, who was at the back, looked at the desolate surroundings. He wasn't afraid at all. Instead, he felt that this was an opportunity. Luo Ran, who had followed them all the way from the hotel, no longer hid at the back. He quickly caught up with Brother Huang in front of him and said fiercely, "No one will know even if you destroy the body in a place like this. She led us here in the middle of the night. You must teach this woman a lesson." Damn it, I can finally vent my anger. No matter how incompetent Luo Ran was, he could tell that Yi Qian had deliberately led them here. There were many people around him, and all of them were armed with knives. Luo Ran wasn't afraid at all. He just wanted to take care of Yi Qian as soon as possible so that he could vent his anger. Although he was in the underworld, he didn't have the experience of hooligans like Brother Huang. A woman had the guts to lead them here. Could there be another ambush? He didn't move immediately. Instead, he said, "We still have to observe her for a while. This little girl has guts. She led us all here by herself. Brother, why don't you think about how she can be so bold?" Chapter 8:26. You guys are really stupid. I arranged to meet her behind the bar. If there was an ambush, it would be behind the bar. It was rare for Luo Ran to be smart. He said in a low voice, "Don't tell me she can predict that we'll wait for her in the hotel? Will she arrange an ambush immediately?" Luo Ran couldn't wait any longer. He couldn't wait to beat Yi Qian up to vent his anger. Yi Qian didn't want to wait any longer. She wanted to finish this as soon as possible so she could go back to the hotel and sleep. She was resting so early. She still had to rush to the training ground tomorrow morning to start her car training. She bent down and picked up 2 medium-sized stones from the bushes. She threw them in the direction of the voice. Before the stones hit the ground, Yi Qian's cold voice came from the darkness. "Luo Ran, you brought so many people here. Do you still need to hide? Damn it, they're provoking us." Brother Huang walked to the front with a knife in his hand. He was humiliated if he didn't stand up after being provoked by a student. Luo Ran originally wanted to listen to Yao Jing. It would be best if he didn't show himself. Now that things had come to this, he couldn't care less. He brought people here, so why should he be afraid of her? "Yi Qian, if I don't beat you until you call me Grandpa tonight, my surname isn't Luo." Luo Ran took out a knife from his pocket and stared fiercely at the direction of the voice. He vaguely saw a shadow, but he didn't see anything. Yi Qian moved her hands and feet. She took the silver wire from her wrist and walked towards the group of people. The night was too dark for Luo Ran, Brother Huang, and the others. They wanted to surround Yi Qian and beat her up, but now they couldn't even see her exact location. But to Yi Qian, darkness was a good camouflage. Brother Huang was still looking for his target. He didn't realize that Yi Qian was less than a meter away from them. When he saw a shadow slowly walk into his line of sight, Brother Huang was delighted. He spat and fiercely ordered his men, "Use your fists first. Kill this girl." As he spoke, one of his underlings standing to his right suddenly screamed and fell into the grass. His hands clutched at his neck, his legs kicked, and a sharp and terrified scream came from his throat. "Neck my neck, brother." He could still shout at the beginning, but in the end, he couldn't make a sound. He was gasping for air, and there was no way for him to call for help. The Wolf Dao's survival method was to always remember to attack the most fatal part of the prey when attacking. The silver threads in Yi Qian's hands were most suitable for long wraps, and wrapping around a person's neck was the fastest, easiest, and most frightening. After a blood-curdling scream, there was only the sound of struggling gasping for air. Without any warning, something happened suddenly. Hearing the scream, Brother Huang and the others, whose scalps were numb, were all so frightened that they took a few steps back. There was panic in their expressions at that moment. Damn it! What happened? They wanted to break Yi Qian's spirit, but they were scared instead. Yi Qian wouldn't kill anyone. She walked over when the other party was about to suffocate and easily retrieved the silver threads. In the darkness, no one could see what she did. They only heard the hooligan who was the first to finish off the other party groan in pain. It was so painful that he fainted. Chapter 827. Yi Qian, who was missing a dart, stood where Brother Huang and the others had retreated. She smiled coldly, and her light voice was filled with killing intent. "What's wrong? We haven't even started, and you're all so scared that you want to run? Are you here for a fight?" Luo ran, "What should I say about you? You're a weakling, and I didn't expect you to find someone who's also a weakling. You really make me look down on you. How about this? I won't make things difficult for you. I'll let you go if each of you dismember an arm. How about that?" "Of course not." Her words were hurtful and humiliating. Brother Huang kicked one of his men and shouted angrily, "Motherf asterisk cur. Get him. What are you waiting for?" If one came, one would be crippled. If a pair came, 2 pairs would be crippled. Yi Qian never minded using violence to solve problems. After all, using hands was always easier than using brains. The silver wire was a killing weapon. Even if it was usually used as a decoration, those who didn't recognize it would only think it was a bracelet made of silver. Once its true form was revealed, killing people would be as easy as taking something out of a bag. The person who had it in the past had killed countless people. And now Yi Qian, who had gone through a life and death situation, was more flexible in using it to its fullest potential. Screams came from the wilderness. The screams made people's hair stand on end. The screams were so loud that the last few men couldn't even hold their knives steadily. They couldn't see where the person they were supposed to beat was. All they saw was a black shadow, and the black shadow of their brothers before they fell. As for the others, they couldn't see her, and they didn't know where she was. They couldn't even hear her voice. They only knew that she was right beside them, like a beast hibernating in the dark. She would suddenly jump out and give them a fatal blow. "Brother Huang, why don't we just leave? This woman is strange, too strange. I can't see where she is. I can only hear our brothers screaming. Brother Huang, don't tell me they're dead." In the end, there were only 5 of the 10 men left, including Luo Ran and Brother Huang. In other words, Yi Qian had taken down 7 people in a short period of time. Even so, Yi Qian didn't feel any sense of accomplishment. She could more or less smell the white substance synthesized from morphine alkaloids on these people's bodies. Those who took this substance would collapse from the inside out. To take them down, Yi Qian only needed to prevent them from scratching her body and prevent their blood from infecting her body. In such a good world, such a good time, and such a good life, she did not want to be infected with AIDS for more than 10 years and still be unable to be cured. As long as one of the people who ingested harmful substances got sick, and someone else used the needle he used, the chances of getting sick were quite high. Like, crawling. Two. Hearing the sounds of the grass around them, Brother Huang shivered and realized that things weren't going well. He sniffed hard and his voice cracked. Go. He would be an idiot if he kept fighting. That woman was obviously not easy to deal with. Chapter 828. He said that he wanted to leave, but he had to be able to do so first. Suddenly, the bright lights of several motorcycles came from the front. They were so bright that it was blinding and made people panic. Do you know whose place this is? If you don't, why don't you take a look at the words on the top of the building? Someone said coldly. He had never heard of the voice before, but the bloody smell in the voice was not unfamiliar to Yi Qian. Only someone who had killed before would have such a bloody smell. The entire building was Caesar Hotel. It was a little tall, so she couldn't see the words on the top of the building. At least, when Yi Qian looked up, she couldn't see it. Just because she couldn't see it didn't mean that Yi Qian didn't know where this place was. And those who knew where this place was might not know whose territory Caesar Hotel was. The person who spoke was one of Ho Zi's subordinates, who was both a brother and a friend. He also had a certain status in the underworld. People like Luo Ran didn't know that after hearing Yi Qian's words, He was already furious. He shouted angrily, "I don't King care whose territory this is. This is between me and her. What does it have to do with you?" The knife in Brother Huang's hand fell to the ground. He trembled and knelt down. It's Third Master's territory. Third Master, I didn't mean to offend you. It's just that this high school student asked me to teach a little girl a lesson. I took his money and came here because I was possessed. Third Master, please spare me. Third Master, please spare me. Third Master, please raise your hand and let me go. Third Master, please spare me. Third Master, please spare me. The light was too strong. It shone on Brother Huang and the other hooligans, who were half squinting. It also illuminated the situation of the hooligans who had fallen earlier. Their shoulders were strangely twisted. One or two of them fell to the ground with a painful expression. They couldn't raise their hands to stuff their mouths and take out their clothes. They could only rub their bodies and legs on the grass and make gurgling sounds from their throats. It was easy for Brother Huang and the others to think that they were man-eating crawling monsters. No one cared about them. Brother Huang was so scared that he knelt down and begged for mercy. He didn't have the time to care about his subordinates. Someone stepped forward and stood under the strong light. The figure was tall and slender, like a tall mountain. He didn't stop but walked towards them step by step. Against the light, Brother Huang's body trembled like a sieve when his eyes were blinded by the light. Then, he saw that his pale yellow pants were wet. He only saw a figure, but he was so frightened by the aura that he lost control of his bladder. Other than Luo Ran, who was still showing off his fierceness, the other three hooligans were so scared that their bodies were like leaves floating in the autumn wind. They were so scared that they couldn't even touch the ground, and could be killed at any time and sent to heaven. The figure didn't walk fast, but every step he took made Brother Huang and the other hooligans afraid of him. It was a murderous aura that only those who had lived on the battlefield and whose hands were stained with blood could have. No one could replicate it and no one could compare to him. This kind of aura might be frightening to others, but Yi Qian was very familiar with it. He didn't expect that he would appear again. Compared to the last time he saw Xia Jinyuan a year ago, the number of times he appeared in front of him now was a little too much. The figure stood under the strong light and walked towards them step by step. He stopped in front of Brother Huang, who had lost control of his bladder. Chapter 829. Without giving the other party a chance to beg for mercy, he lifted his slender leg and kicked the other party in the face. A few bloody teeth flew out of Brother Huang's mouth. Little girl? Was he talking about his little fox? Asking for a beating? Looking for death? A blood-curdling scream burst out from Brother Huang's throat. His entire body was sent flying by the kick. He was half dead from the kick. Without further ado, this person's actions scared the other three hooligans so much that they lost control of their bowels. Was the person who kicked Brother Huang Master Ho-san? Was he the third Master Ho, a well-known figure in the underworld who was known to be ruthless and feared by everyone? If it was really Master Ho-san, no one in the underworld would dare to say a word about it, let alone find out that it was Master Ho who did it. Master Ho-san, please spare our lives. It really has nothing to do with us. That brat said he was going to get rid of the girls in his school. We were paid to do it. We came with Brother Huang to do it. Master Ho-san, please spare our lives. Luo Ran, whose eyes were spitting fire, gritted his teeth and cursed, "Damn it! How dare you ruin my business?" He picked up the knife in his hand and stabbed it at Xia Jinyuan, who had yet to speak. Yi Qian saw this and threw the silver wire in his hand. It wrapped around Luo Ran's neck like a collar. He didn't even need to use any strength. The silver wire wrapped tightly around Luo Ran's neck as Luo Ran ran forward. Luo Ran's eyes widened as he tried to protect his neck with his hands. He wanted to pull out the thing that was strangling him. The more he struggled, the tighter the silver wire wrapped around his neck. The Grim Reaper was getting closer and closer to his face. Luo Ran was scared. "Let go of me. My father is a famous entrepreneur in Southern Province. How dare you do this to me? My father won't let you off. Damn it, let go of me. Let go." The thing that was strangling his neck was getting tighter and tighter. It was getting harder and harder to breathe. In the end, he couldn't even open his mouth to speak. He could only gasp for air to keep him alive. Yiqian walked over with a silver thread wrapped around one knee and said to the angry Xia Jinyuan, "It's just a small matter." "Why are you angry?" "I'm not angry." Captain Xia was not a person who would easily get angry. At this moment, she could see that Jun Yan's expression was indifferent. He was really angry. Little ghosts are hard to deal with. Some things can be dealt with in one go, so go back to the hotel and rest. "I'll deal with it," Xia Jinyuan said calmly. The murderous intent in his voice was like a knife that cut through everyone's hearts. Just by listening to the sound, Brother Huang and the other hooligans felt like they had died countless times. "Third Master, please spare my life. Third Master, please spare my life." We had eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai and offended Third Master. "Third Master, please be magnanimous and let us go. Please let us go, Third Master." At this moment of life and death, they didn't care about the gold under their knees. They knelt on the wasteland where their knees hurt and kept kowtowing and begging for mercy. No one could clearly see Xia Jinyuan's face as he stood against the light in his casual clothes. They only knew that with such a man standing in front of them, all of them were little things that he could silently get rid of with a wave of his hand. It was as easy as blowing off dust. Luo Ran, on the other hand, was just a high school student who had been raised with money. No matter how arrogant he was, he would always say that he wanted to take other people's lives. However, when it came to his own life, he would be so scared that even his pupils would shrink. Chapter 830. He was intimidated by Xia Jinyuan's murderous aura. A chill ran up from the soles of his feet and stopped right in front of his heart. He was so scared that every cell in his body was reminding him to run, run. If he didn't run now, he might lose his life. He wanted to run, but in order to prevent Xia Jinyuan from helping him, Yiqian lifted his leg and kicked Luo Ran in the stomach, causing him to fall to the ground. Luo Ran was already having trouble breathing, and the pain almost made him pass out. "Yiqian, how dare you King kick me?" Luo Ran, whose face was distorted by the pain, clutched his stomach and looked at Yiqian ferociously. The fierceness in his eyes was not fearless, but shallow, cute, and stupid. Even at this point, he was still trying to be brave and fierce. If that wasn't stupid, then what was? Just a moment ago, he was so scared that he wanted to run. Now, because Yiqian kicked him, he wanted to use his power to scare Yiqian. What a stupid and ridiculous way of thinking. Yiqian lowered his head and looked down coldly. He looked at Luo Ran like a god sitting high in the clouds, looking down at an ant. "Not only did I dare to kick you, but I also dare to kill you." His voice was cold and chilling. "You dare? If you dare to do something, why wouldn't I dare to do it?" she said with a smile. Her eyes were as cold as ice on an ancient well. The surface of the ice was bone-chilling, and the depths of the ice were unfathomable. Luo Ran instantly choked and didn't dare to say anything for a long time. Xia Jinyuan glanced at the high school boy on the ground who still wanted to flaunt his power. He said to his little fox, "If we don't deal with this kind of person now, he will be a scourge in society in the future. Dealing with him now will benefit the people. Let me handle it." Yiqian looked up and glanced at Xia Jinyuan, who wanted to help him deal with the trouble. He smiled and said, "I don't need you to deal with the matters between students. I really want to deal with it for me and get rid of these hooligans. Dead or alive, just don't let me see them again in the future." Her casual tone made Brother Huang and the others understand that they had begged the wrong person. They should have begged this young lady instead. Unfortunately, it was too late. Xia Jinyuan was really angry. How could he let them go? The man's thin lips curled up slightly, and he nodded with a smile. He only said one word, "Okay." He raised his hand, and 4 men with nothing in their hands got off the motorcycle. They walked over to the gangsters who were trembling with fear. Brother Huang, who was kicked in the face and almost lost his life, screamed and begged for mercy. "Third Master, we won't do it again. We won't do it again. Please, Third Master, please let me go. Please, I beg you." His muffled voice was full of fear, and this fear of his life coming to an end infected Luo Ran. This arrogant boy in front of Yi Qian was so scared that his face turned pale. When Yi Qian heard Xia Jinyuan say, "Okay," he smiled and loosened the silver thread in his hand. If he really strangled Luo Ran to death, then it would not be worth it. Yi Jian turned around and stared at Luo Ran condescendingly. In the strong light, Yi Jian's usually gentle face was cold and hard. There was no emotion, only indifference. That kind of indifference made Luo Ran's heart tremble. He saw that she did not care about her own life. He saw that in her eyes, it was as if killing him was just a matter of raising her hand. He also saw that the thing that was strangling his neck was a thin thread that seemed to be made of silver. And this thread was particularly familiar to him. It was the silver item that Yi Jian wore on her left hand. Chapter 8:31. This was a weapon that could kill people. She casually carried a weapon that could kill people. Luo Ran looked like he had admitted defeat, but his mouth was still stubborn. He met Yi Qian's eyes and said in a trembling voice, "Yi Qian, I'm warning you. My dad is rich. If you're afraid of killing me, my dad won't let you off." Yes. His family was rich. Rich people were the boss. Even the school couldn't do anything about him, let alone Yi Qian. With that thought, Luo Ran's arrogance gradually returned. He tried to stand up and glared at Yi Qian. His voice grew fiercer and fiercer. "Let go of me if you know what's good for you. Otherwise, my dad will teach you a lesson tomorrow. If I can kill you, I naturally have the ability to prevent your dad from finding out that it was me. Luo Ran, you have to realize that your life is now in my hands, not your dad's." Yi Qian spoke calmly with a faint smile on his face. His words carried a hint of killing intent. It easily frightened Luo Ran. His face was full of horror. The silver thread in his hand tightened. Luo Ran, who had just escaped from suffocation, once again experienced death. Through his enlarged eyes, he saw Yi Qian's smile deepen. At the same time, his killing intent deepened. Do you know why beasts like to bite the neck? It's because the neck is the most vulnerable part. Biting off the cervical vertebrae will kill the prey. Biting off the aorta will also kill the prey. Biting off the windpipe will also kill the prey. Luo Ran, who was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat, shook his head violently. He refused to listen to the bloodthirsty voice. "Yi Qian, you can't kill me. I'm a student, and you're a student too. You can't kill me. You can't." "Why can't I? Just now, you said you wanted to kill me. You, who can't kill, said you wanted to kill me. I have the ability to kill and can easily get rid of you. Why can't I kill you? Look around you." The first 7 hooligans who rushed out, which one of them didn't have a knife in their hand? Take a good look. Where are their hands now? Take a good look and you'll know if I have the ability to kill you or not. Yi Qian grabbed Luo Ran by the collar and dragged him to the front of a few thugs who were lying on the ground and whimpering. He lifted his leg and hooked the right arm of one of the thugs that was clasped behind his back. It was soft, as if it had no bones, and it was hooked out by Yi Qian's leg. The moment he did, Luo Ran saw the strangely twisted right arm. He saw a small knife piercing through the gangster's palm. It went in from the back of his palm and came out from the center of his palm. Blood was still flowing along the tip of the knife. The drops of blood caused Luo Ran to scream in horror. He wanted to retreat, but Yi Qian pressed him to his knees. He looked closely at his palm that had been pierced by the knife. No, I don't want to. I don't want to. Let go of me. Let go of me. He wanted to retreat, but Yi Qian wanted him to clearly understand that if he wanted to fight with her, the consequences would be very tragic. He even called the people of the underworld over. If he didn't bleed them and dye them with some color, then it would be a waste of Luo Ran's efforts. 7 people, 14 arms, 2 joints from the elbow to the shoulder. I unloaded one in a straight line and the other in a reverse direction. Then I stabbed the knife into the right palm where they threatened me with the knife. Before I came out, I brought a small weapon with me. It was convenient to use, so I stabbed it into their left hand. Chapter 8:32. His voice was very soft, even fainter than the wind, but every word carried a thick stench of blood. Very, very heavy. So heavy that when Luo Ran saw the dart in the gangster's left hand, he was so scared that all the muscles in his body spasmed. A knife in the right hand and a dart in the left. Tiske tiske tis. It really hurts. But I don't want to hear them scream in pain, so I stuffed their mouths with their own clothes. The whole process didn't take much time. Yiqian smiled as she spoke. Her expression was calm, but the words she said were hair-raising, making Luo Ran feel despair. I didn't even need much time to take care of 7 people. Taking care of you, I think? Her gaze fell on Luo Ran's neck, and her smile deepened. It will only take about 2 minutes. Don't you think so? Yes, she wasn't wrong at all. If Yiqian wanted to kill him now, it would be a piece of cake. At this moment, Luo Ran regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. In the face of life and death, his past arrogance and smugness were nothing. They were just for show. They couldn't protect his life. I was wrong. Yiqian, let me go. I was wrong. He begged for mercy. His throat was itching to cough, but his survival instinct kept him begging Yiqian to let him go. Luo Ran, who used to be so arrogant that he didn't even look at the ground, who used money to solve every problem, fell hard this time. He fell so hard that it left him with a lifelong psychological shadow. He begged for mercy so quickly, but Yiqian wouldn't let him go so easily. She raised her eyebrows slightly. Such a fatal place that needs to be protected is entangled by the treasure in my hand. I'll have to use my strength slowly. First, I'll break your throat, then your aorta, then your cervical vertebra, and then your entire head. Her voice was soft and gentle. As Yiqian tightened the silver wire in her hand, Luo Ran, who had failed to beg for mercy, screamed, "Help, help, help." If he could even make a sound, then he would have to use a bit more strength. The silver thread in his hand tightened a little to ensure that he could breathe, but also to make him more afraid. Stop shouting. It's useless. No matter how rich your father is, he can't save your life immediately. By the time he finds out that he needs to save your life, it's a pity that you're already dead. Yiqian spoke slowly. From his actions and words, he did not show any mercy to Luo Ran. She could easily take Luo Ran's life, but she could not really do it. Right now, Luo Ran was just a student who spoke arrogantly and acted arrogantly. However, he was not the enemy she wanted to deal with. He was just a high school student that she needed to teach a lesson to. She needed to teach him a lesson that he would never forget. From now on, he would be obedient whenever he saw her and just take a detour whenever he saw her. Luo Ran's 4 limbs were struggling. Although he could no longer speak, his throat was still letting out muffled and terrified cries for mercy. Let me go. Help, help. His fluttering hands clung tightly to the dry grass that had withered in autumn. He broke a few strands, but he continued to hold on until he had no more strength. He could no longer hold on to anything. His 2 black eyes rolled upwards, and he completely fainted from fear. Before he fainted, Luo Ran saw the figures dragging Brother Huang and the others away in the strong light. Every figure was like the king of hell in the hall of hell, making him afraid. Brother Huang and the others, who were being dragged away with 1 leg, let out screams that made him feel like he was in the hall of hell. Screams filled the air. Chapter 8:33. Brother Huang and the other hooligans were dragged by Ho Zi and the others. Their backs and heads had been cut by the stones on the ground, and they were screaming in pain. As for Luo Ran, who had fainted, he was naturally picked up by Boss Luo himself. In the end, Yiqian put away the silver wire. However, the frightened Luo Ran did not know that the reason he could not make a sound was because he was scared and not because he was unable to make a sound because of the silver wire in Yiqian's hand. Fainting from fear was the result Yiqian wanted. He wrapped the silver wire back into his arm bit by bit and looked at Luo Ran, who was lying on the ground like a dead fish. He sneered, "How dare you talk about killing people when you have so little courage? I really don't know where you get your confidence from. You can only blame yourself for being so easy to talk to and giving people the wrong impression that you're easy to bully." Xia Jinyuan rubbed his forehead gently when he saw that she had scared a boy unconscious. he said helplessly. Usually, all you have to do is show a little bit of ruthlessness and you'll definitely be the #1 bully in school. Little Fox had always been an obedient girl in front of her classmates. She was easy to talk to, modest, and polite. This was why she gave people the wrong impression that she was easy to bully. Yiqian blinked and shook his head. With a serious expression he said, "That won't do. Special Forces soldiers need to know how to disguise themselves. My public image is that of a high school student. How can I do something that will ruin my own image in school? If he goes back to school and tells everyone about what happened tonight, it will also ruin your image as a good student." As Xia Jinyuan spoke, he waved one hand behind his back and the silent motorcycles all started moving. After the rumbling sound, the barren land returned to darkness and only the two of them existed. As for the unconscious Luo Ran, he pretended that he did not exist. The cool night breeze carried the sounds of the night insects. A minute ago, the scene was filled with murderous intent, but a minute later, it was quiet. As the night breeze blew, it was as if nothing had happened. Yiqian walked towards the road step by step. His voice was as calm as water as he replied calmly, "No, he won't dare to say it out loud. He definitely won't say anything bad about me in school." But Xia Jinyuan took a few steps forward and held her hand accurately and naturally. He asked with a smile, "I heard it just now. This boy is still so arrogant even when he's at death's door. Who knows when he'll start to face you in school?" His hand was very warm and dry. When he held her hand, warmth and security came together, causing the corners of her mouth to curl up slightly. No, he wouldn't dare. He wouldn't dare. He repeated his words and said it with certainty. He was confident and certain. Xia Jinyuan's hand was very soft, as if he could hurt her bones if he used a little more force. He kept holding her hand and smiled faintly. "What do you mean? I think he has guts." "He doesn't have the guts. Trust me, after tonight, he will be completely honest in front of me." Yiqian returned his grip. His hand was slender and strong, full of strength. "I just told him that he was someone who didn't have the ability to kill, yet he went around saying that he wanted to kill. For someone like me who has the ability to kill, killing him would be a piece of cake. That's why he's afraid. He's afraid that I'll really kill him. As for guts, he really doesn't have the guts. A person who doesn't have the ability but is arrogant is usually very timid. A person who has the ability but is arrogant is usually only arrogant when they kill." Chapter 8:34. He is the former, and I am the latter. If Luo Ran was arrogant because he had no ability, he was naturally timid. If Yi Qian had the ability but was not arrogant, he was naturally daring because he was skilled. It was just that she usually hid it well and would not let others find out that she had the ability to kill. This explanation made Xia Jinyuan laugh. Indeed, people who had the ability to kill, such as himself and his comrades, usually hid their ability to kill and did not want others to find out. Those who kept saying, "I'm going to kill someone, I'm 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 going to kill someone." The little fox who belongs to the latter category seems to be very afraid of me taking action. Okay, your reason has convinced me. Why did she say so much? She just wanted to stop him from taking action. She also wanted to tell him that although the boy was bad, he was not as bad as the hooligans who were sent out to deal with him. Once he was taught a lesson, there was no need for people from the underworld to deal with him. There was another important reason why Yi Qian liked to talk to Xia Jinyuan. She did not need to say too much because he could always understand her. Brother Huang was from the underworld. Fighting, robbing, and bullying students were common occurrences. She would not stop him from letting people from the underworld teach him a lesson. However, Luo Ran was different. He was a high school student from the province. If Xia Jinyuan were to take action, it would not be appropriate. He was a soldier, while Luo Ran was a problematic student. There was a huge gap between their statuses. Regardless of whether Luo Ran was a problematic student or not, as long as Xia Jinyuan took action, if there were any mistakes in the future, it would become a criticism that could not be washed away. It was more appropriate for her, who was also a student, to take action. Moreover, the people who appeared tonight were all Houzi's people. She did not trust them. Stopping Xia Jinyuan from taking action was the only thought in her mind at that time. It did not take too long to walk from the wasteland to the main road. A few minutes later, the two of them were standing under the misty streetlights. Yi Qian pointed at the Venus Hotel across the road and said with a smile, "Captain Xia, you can't continue dragging me along. I have to go back to this hotel. Tonight is a senior brother's birthday party. Help me book a room in the Venus Hotel opposite the Caesar Hotel. I have to go there now." Xia Jinyuan raised his eyebrows. "No wonder I couldn't find you at school. Uncle Chen said he didn't see you either. So you came here to play. If you don't mind, can I accompany you?" "I don't mind, but I'm afraid that Captain Xia will mind." Yi Qian's smile had a hint of mockery, and even his gaze had a hint of meaning. "There are dozens of students playing inside. Xia Jinyuan is an adult, so I'm afraid you'll feel awkward if you come over to play with a bunch of students." What a little fox. She used another way to say that he was old and old. Captain Xia, who was not discouraged, straightened his clothes and smiled slightly. He said elegantly and reservedly, "Will my appearance steal the limelight of the host? I think so. After all, I was born with a handsome face that even a little fox would occasionally be entranced by. If I really went with you, I'm afraid the host tonight will be embarrassed." She had her normal social activities. As long as there was no danger, he had no right to interfere. No matter how much he liked her, he still needed to set her free. Especially when the little fox in front of him did not like to be restrained and only wanted to fly alone. Chapter 8:35. That's indeed possible, so all the more reason I can't take you there. Yi Qian raised her hand to let go of their tightly clasped hands. Standing in the dim light, she smiled gently and said, "Can you let go now? I have to go back to the hotel." Xia Jinyuan narrowed his deep eyes slightly. Not only did he not let go, he tightened his grip on her hand, and his thin, sexy lips curved into a faint smile. He chuckled softly and said, "We can't stay together tonight, but I think you won't mind if I walk you to the hotel entrance. This is what a gentleman should do. I can't let a girl walk alone in the middle of the night." Since he said so, there was no way she could refuse. If I refuse a gentleman's request, it seems very impolite. Then I'll have to trouble you, Captain Xia. It was difficult for her to refuse him. She didn't know when he returned to the southern province, but he came to look for her at school in the middle of the night. Did he go to school right after he got off the plane? Although the street lights were a little dim, Yi Qian could still see the tiredness between his eyebrows when she looked up. No matter how tired he was, he came to look for her at school. No matter how cold his heart was, a corner of it would melt. Xia Jinyuan was indeed very tired. This was a decapitation operation. After the members of the Snowfield Brigade finished their mission, they didn't even return to the base. After they returned to the country, they immediately scattered and erased all traces of their departure. This was because the target of the decapitation operation had a special status and enjoyed an international reputation. However, his criminal activities had reached China and endangered the stability of China's borders. It was inevitable that China would take action. Xia Jinyuan, who hadn't slept for a few days, walked Yi Qian to the hotel entrance and took the initiative to let go of her hand. "I may not be able to come to you until around 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. I need to get a good night's sleep. Maybe you can come to me and go to the front desk to get my room card." He was too tired. If his brain didn't relax and rest well, his nerves would be in a long-term state of depression, and all his bodily functions would be affected. Although he wanted to be with her, he had to ensure that he had a healthy body first. "Rest well. If you have anything to say, we can talk about it tomorrow." When Yi Qian saw that even his voice was a little hoarse, his heart ached a little. He couldn't even bear to look at him. "See you tomorrow, Captain Xia." Waving at him, Yi Qian walked back to the hotel with big steps. The sooner she got back to the hotel, the sooner he could leave and go back to rest. She left in a hurry. Xia Jinyuan's gaze was so gentle that it was as if there were ripples in his eyes. His gaze was so gentle that anyone who could receive his gaze would feel blessed. The hotel lobby was brightly lit. When Xia Jinyuan saw a few people who looked like students appear in the hotel on Yiqian and walk over, he walked away. He really couldn't play with a group of students. He didn't know how little Fox got along with them. They seemed to get along very well. Even though they were far away, he didn't see the indistinct loneliness that existed in the outside world. It had been more than 3 years. Little Fox had matured day by day. She was also getting along better with people day by day. This made him feel reassured. Very reassured. He had once told Uncle Chen that Yi Qian had a deep repulsion towards the opposite sex. If this repulsion was brought to the military, it wouldn't be obvious on the surface, but in reality, it would affect her overall performance in the military. Chapter 8:36. A warrior could not only fight alone, but they also needed to fight in a team. Rejecting the opposite sex would affect the team and make other comrades feel awkward. Over time, Yi Jian would be isolated and helpless, becoming a comrade who did not have good comprehensive abilities. The final result would be the worst. He had the ability, but he had to retire. Now that he saw that she was getting along well with her classmates, he did not have to worry about her not cooperating with the group. The figure outside had already left, and Yi Jian, who was secretly watching, also withdrew her gaze. She smiled at Yang Heng and said, "It's not a big deal. It's just that something urgent came up, so I went out. It's good that you're back. If you came back any later, my dad's people would have gone out to look for you." Yang Heng let out a long sigh of relief. It had only been half an hour since Yi Qian left. Why did he feel like he had been waiting for hours? Wang Jin patted Yang Heng on the shoulder and joked with Yi Qian, "Yang Heng was worried sick when you went out for half an hour. We almost thought that you were kidnapped by human traffickers. We were looking for you all over the hotel. He even said that if we couldn't find you, we would immediately tell his dad so that he could send people out to look for you." After that, he pretended to be shocked and added, "I was scared to death. I just found out that Yang Heng was the director's son. When I saw someone call him Director Yang, I was so scared that my knees went weak." At that time, Wang Jin raised his hand and gently patted Director Yang's abdomen. He smiled and said, "Uncle Yang, look at your good figure. You must be working out regularly." In the end, someone came over and respectfully called him Director Yang. He was scared out of his wits. Yiqian laughed. "What are you afraid of? Director Yang is Director Yang. Yang Heng is Yang Heng. You don't look for Director Yang often." He then said to Yang Heng, "I'm sorry. I didn't expect to cause you trouble. Don't be so polite. I definitely wouldn't be worried if you went out for a while in school. But I brought you here today, so I have to be responsible for the safety of you girls. No matter who leaves early, I will be worried." Yang Heng glanced at Wang Jin, who was trying to sound flirtatious, and explained to Yi Qian, "I treat everyone equally. Don't misunderstand." Wang Jin laughed out loud when he heard that. He was not the only one who laughed out loud. The other boys who were standing by the side also laughed out loud. Yang Heng, "Oh Yang Heng, don't you know that the more you explain, the worse it gets?" As Wang Jin spoke, he wiped a piece of cream off the cake in his hand and suddenly reached out to wipe Yi Qian's face. The change only took half a second. Wang Jin's screams could be heard from the hotel lobby. "CK, it hurts, it hurts. My hand is broken, my hand is broken. CK." The laughter of the other boys stopped abruptly as if they had been strangled. They stared at Wang Jin's arm that was twisted so much that the back of his hand was twisted backwards. They couldn't help but touch their own arms. Although he didn't twist them, it still hurt a lot. Looking at Yi Qian, who was holding onto his arm, the boys took a small step back. Previously, Yang Heng had said that if a girl went out in the middle of the night, wouldn't it be dangerous if she bumped into hooligans? Yes, it was dangerous. But they guessed that it was the hooligans who were in danger and not Yi Qian. At this moment, Wang Jin's right hand that was trying to attack Yi Qian with the cream was being twisted backwards. At the same time that his arm was twisted, his acne-covered face was also twisted in pain. Chapter 837. It was really dangerous. Who would have thought that applying cream would be so dangerous? Did Wang Jin's arm get dislocated? Yi Jian withdrew her hand quickly. She immediately withdrew her hand when she realized what was going on. However, Wang Jin still felt the pain. She patted Wang Jin's hand awkwardly and said softly, sorry, I was a little too nervous and accidentally made a move. It's not dislocated, just a little bit of pain. It'll be fine soon. Why don't you shake your arm? Or move it a little? If it's really dislocated, I'll fix it for you immediately. Wang Jin was shocked. Junior sister, if it's really dislocated, I'll go to the hospital immediately. Ouch, don't tell me it's really dislocated. Seeing Wang Jin's face contorted in pain, Yi Qian was so embarrassed that even her white jade-like face was flushed red. She had indeed overreacted, mainly because Wang Jin had suddenly attacked her face, and she had subconsciously reacted. This was a subconscious reaction. The hand's reaction was faster than the brain's reaction, and by the time she realized something was wrong, she had already twisted his entire right arm. She had acted so quickly that even someone like Yang Heng, who had some martial art skills, couldn't react in time, let alone Wang Jin. It's probably not dislocated. I didn't use too much strength, and I loosened it quickly. It's probably not dislocated. Knowing that she was in the wrong, Yi Qian explained in a low voice. It was her fault, so how could she still be confident? Junior sister Yi Qian, what kind of martial arts are you practicing? My arm isn't crippled, is it? Wang Jin, who didn't dare to raise his arm at all, said in pain. His voice was miserable. I was just applying cream on your face, but you acted so quickly and ruthlessly. It hurts, it really hurts. It was obvious that it was very painful, but his emotions were still stable and he wasn't angry. Seeing that he wasn't angry, Yi Qian sighed in relief. I'm sorry. I learned some self-defense skills, and everyone in class knows that I'm not used to sudden physical contact. It's mainly because I know that sometimes my reflexes can be too fast and accidentally hurt others. Yang Heng knew that she didn't like to have physical contact with people. Her explanation also cleared up the doubts in Yang Heng's heart. No wonder her reaction was a little cold when he wanted to pat her shoulder when they first met at the convenience store. It turned out that there was such a relationship. Women's self-defense? It should be to guard against wolves. I'm so unlucky. I don't have the heart of a wolf, but I'm being treated like a wolf. Wang Jin was indeed not angry. What was there to be angry about? Yi Qian did not do it on purpose. It did not matter if he did not apologize. The boys next to him patted their chests and put their palms together. They said to Wang Jin, who had sacrificed himself for everyone, "Brother, we will thank you. Otherwise, I don't know how many arms will hurt tonight. I can't thank you enough. If your arms really break, we'll feed you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner next week." So close. Wang Jin had risked his life. They were just laughing and talking about how they had to put more cream on Yi Qian when they saw her later. Now there was no need. They didn't dare. Yi Qian's awkwardness dissipated a lot when he joked about the pain. I've learned my lesson tonight. I'll be more careful next time. I definitely won't let you suffer like this again. I'll learn my lesson too. Next time, I'll only talk to you and won't touch you. Wang Jin didn't dare to move his arm. He said to Yang Heng, "Come on, brother, help me lift my arm." Chapter 838. Yang Heng gently touched Wang Jin's arm and carefully held his wrist. He used his eyes to ask Yi Jian if he could lift it up. Seeing Yi Qian nod, he slowly lifted Wang Jin's arm. As he did so, he asked softly, "How is it? Do you feel anything else? Is it painful? Is it bone pain? Or muscle pain? Don't move. Let me rest. Wang Jin felt pain in his shoulder. He moved slightly and smiled. My shoulder joint is not dislocated and my arm is fine. It's just pain. I think it's a muscle sprain. I've never had a muscle sprain before. Now I know what it feels like. It doesn't feel good, especially. We agreed to fight together, but I ended up fighting alone. You guys are too disloyal. Yao Jing walked out of the banquet hall and happened to hear Wang Jin's words. Her eyes lit up as she looked carefully at the boy who spoke. Seeing him holding his arm in pain and saying, "We agreed to fight together." Yao Jing raised her eyebrows slightly. She immediately scanned the hall and saw that Luo Ran and the others were not there. Only Yang Heng and a few other boys were surrounding Yi Qian. Yao Jing smiled coldly. It seemed that Luo Ran and Yi Qian had indeed fought tonight. Just as she thought about it, her heart skipped a beat and her expression changed. She jogged over and grabbed Yang Heng's arm, asking anxiously, "How are you? Are you hurt?" Yi Qian's gaze suddenly turned cold and landed on Yao Jing's face. She seemed to think that Yang Heng had gone to fight. His clear eyes narrowed slightly and he immediately took the initiative to speak. "Other than Wang Jin, everyone else is fine. Yang Heng's skills are good, so it's impossible for him to be hurt." "How do you know he's not hurt?" "Some injuries are more serious than external injuries." Yao Jing's voice suddenly became extremely sharp. She glanced at Yi Jian with a fierce gaze. "Don't act like you know everything all the time. If Yang Heng is hurt, I won't let you off." Wang Jin and the other boys were all confused. Why were they so confused when they heard that? Yang Heng, who could tell that something was wrong, said to Wang Jin and the others who didn't understand at all, "Go back to your room and take a shower first. Remember to come down and sing a song later. The fruit platter and other things are all ready, just waiting for you." Wang Jin helped the boys and said with a smile, "All right, you guys can chat first. We'll go upstairs and take a shower before coming down." "Hey, why are you leaving?" Yao Jing tried to persuade them to stay. She wanted to call Uncle Yang and Auntie Song over. As soon as the boys left, Yi Qian's expression turned cold. He said coldly, "What does it have to do with you whether Yang Heng is hurt or not? It's not like I got hurt because of you. Among them, only Wang Jin's arm is injured. Yao Jing, I advise you to stay out of my business." He wanted to see if it was as he thought. If that was the case, Yao Jing would be another headache for him in school. "Yi Qian, you're so shameless. Do you want to see all the boys get hurt for you so badly? How can you be so shameless? Does it feel good to let the boys stand up for you? You provoked someone you shouldn't have and even pushed Yang Heng out. You're so disgusting." Under Yi Jian's deliberate lead, Yao Jing, who was prejudiced by first impressions, spoke more and more. Naturally, she revealed more and more information. Welcome to Immortal Cultivation audiobooks, your gateway to the mystical world of Xianxia. Dive into legendary tales of martial arts, spiritual growth, and immortal ascension. Here, we bring you full-length English audiobooks of the best Wuxia and Xianxia stories, from young prodigies to ancient sect wars. Perfect for fans of Against the Gods, Martial World, and tales of demons and gods.